Welcome, friends. My name's Jill. I teach first grade at Judeo Reform, and I'm here with Jacob today. He's off camera. He's going to help us in a little bit, and we're going to tell the story of Passover with some yoga poses today. So get yourself all warmed up, and let's see how it goes. So go ahead and find yourself standing, and you can listen to the story and join in as we move. Take a deep breath. Here we go. After many years of the Israelites living in Egypt, a new pharaoh or king came to power. Find yourself in chair, sitting on Pharaoh's throne. Can turn so you can see also. This pharaoh did not like the Israelites. Bring your hands to heart center and turn over to the right. He could see them from the right. Turn over to the left. He could see them to the left, and he treated them very harshly. Lower your feet down and step your left foot back into pyramid pose. He worked the Israelites all day and all night. Step your left foot forward, step your right foot back, other side. They worked in awful conditions. They were Pharaoh's slaves and they were suffering. Lower the knees. Pharaoh was still angry, even after all the work the Israelites had done. Press your hands forward and sit back into child's pose. He ordered that all the sons born to Hebrew women should be killed. Come up into tabletop. Step up into standing. Rise all the way up. Turn to the side. Step your feet wide. And exhale into goddess pose. Two very brave women, goddess, Shiphrah and Puah, defied the pharaoh. Plant your hands, pull your toes in, and have a seat. Bring one knee into your chest, and then hold onto it like this, stretching out your hip. Shiphrah and Puah could not hurt the babies that they helped deliver into this world. Can you guess what this pose is called? Rock the baby. They were midwives and they delivered all kinds of babies, and there's no way they could bring harm to them. So when baby Moses was born to Yocheved, she declared that she would not listen to the Pharaoh, and she decided to save him. Turn. Yocheved placed him in a basket and in the Nile River into a little boat. We moved into boat pose, and he traveled down the river, row your boat, and landed in a place where people came to bathe. You could rock back and then rock forward, standing back up into your chair. Who should find him but Pharaoh's daughter? And Moses was so lucky at this point that Yocheved, back into goddess pose, one of our strong women, was assigned to become Moses' nurse. So he got to be with his mom. Plant your hands all the way back down to the floor, back into child's pose. Baby Moses was raised in the palace, and he was well loved and well cared for. Plant the hands, tuck your toes, lift your hips up. Walk forward, rise all the way up to standing. Now step the right foot back, lift the arms up. This is the warrior series. Moses grew up in the palace, but he realized how hard it was to be an Israelite. Switch your hands, step the left foot back. He was angry, and he fought the taskmasters that were harming the slaves in Israel. Exhale down like this. This is called humble warrior. He realized what he had done when he had started fighting, and he decided to flee Egypt. Lift all the way back up. Humble on the other side. Humble warrior. Moses was realizing the mistake of fighting, and he decided that he was going to become a shepherd. Stand back up. Turn to the side. So Moses fled after he harmed and fought with the taskmasters and decided to find a peaceful place out in the wilderness herding sheep. Lift the knee, turn it open for a tree. You can have your foot there up high or your foot down lower. One day, while Moses was out tending his sheep, can anyone guess what he saw? It wasn't a tree. It was pretty close. He saw a bush out in the wild. Other side for tree. And the interesting thing about this bush is that it was burning. Release your foot, sit all the way down. Take your right shin across the top of your left shin. This is called fire log pose. The bush was on fire, and it wasn't burning up. It continued to burn, and it was there that Moses heard the voice of God. Sit back, swap your feet, put the other leg on the bottom, the other leg on top. God spoke to Moses, telling him that he and his brother Aaron would have to go into Egypt and take the Israelites out of Egypt, basically to save them. Roll over onto your knees. We're headed back to Egypt. Lower all the way down. This is Sphinx, something we might think of if we think of going into Egypt. Elbows under your shoulders, chest forward. Moses returned to Egypt. Back up onto your knees. Come to sitting. This is called Dandasana, or staff pose. We often think of Moses like this with a staff. He and Aaron approached the Pharaoh, and Moses spoke his famous words, and you can do it like this. Let my people go. When Pharaoh refused, Moses told him God would send punishments. Okay, time to get ready. There are going to be 10 plagues. Jacob's going to help us. The first plague is lice. Now move it out of the way, Jacob. We do lice like this. A dead bug. Can rock side to side. The next plague is the cattle plague. So we move into cow. On your hands and knees, lifting up like the belly of a cow. The next plague is the wild beasts. And we'll do this like lion. We'll tuck our feet together and we'll stretch our hands forward and go, wild beasts, lion pose. The next one is the Nile turning into blood. And we'll do this like a forward fold as we think of all the blood that rushes to your head when your head goes low like this. Rise all the way up. The next plague is darkness. And we'll do darkness with the yoga pose called eagle, where you cross one leg over, maybe tuck the toe under, and if your right leg goes over, you cross your right arm under. The reason we're going to use this one is because in Sanskrit, the pose eagle is called Garudasana, and Garuda means darkness. So we're holding onto darkness. Switch to the other side so you don't get one-sided. Left leg over, left arm under. You can also hug your shoulders. Another plague that came was boils. We'll stay in darkness. I don't really want to act out boils. The last one we'll do while we're in darkness is hail. Release your darkness pose. Fold all the way down. Turn around and lower onto your belly. The next plague will be locust. You can hold your hands behind you and lift up for the pose locust. And from locust, you can pull your knees in this way and pull your heels towards your tush for frog. So after all of those 9 plagues, Pharaoh still had a really hard heart, and he was not letting the Israelites go. Until finally, Moses told him about the last plague. and we'll lay on our backs. The killing of the firstborn child. And this plague, you can stay laying on your back for a minute and take a little rest. We'll lay in corpse posture, which is also a resting pose in yoga. But once Moses told Pharaoh that this is what was going to happen, Pharaoh decided that this was enough for him. And so, come up to a seat. In order to protect the Israelites, reach your hands around your back, and if you can put your hands together, like your palms together. Ooh, sometimes that's tough. You can also just put your hands back there, and we'll make angel wings. In order to protect the Israelites and have the angel of death pass over everyone's house, the Israelites marked their homes with lamb's blood on the door. So we'll fold down, letting the angel of death pass over our homes. We'll come back up to seated. This was really the final straw for Pharaoh. He had had such a hard heart before. And once this happened, he decided that his heart would open and soften just a little bit. So reach back for our biggest yoga heart opener. Opening the front of the chest. And he decided that he would let the people go. Step your right foot forward, lift your back foot into a runner's lunge. We are taught that the Israelites were in such haste, the bread had no time to rise. Switch your feet. And that's why we eat matzah, for memory of the hasty escape. Alas, Pharaoh, our terrible king, changed his mind. And he sent his armies after the Israelites, moving into Warrior 2. The armies ran after them. Inhale, reverse. The Israelites were so worried. Switch your feet, Warrior 2 on the other side. As they raced closer to the ocean or to the sea, reverse warrior, they weren't sure what was going to happen. When they finally got there to the great body of water and faced Pharaoh's army behind them, they felt as though they would perish. Sit down with your feet up. With their arms extended to God, they prayed, and their prayers were answered, and the Red Sea parted, and they walked right through, finding safety on the other side. Once the Israelites were all through, the sea closed back up, and all of Pharaoh's army was left behind. And that is what started the journey out of Egypt. Oh, that is what finished the journey out of Egypt. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a little bit of fun and learned a little bit while you were moving today.